Hello team, happy Tuesday the 1st of November. Hope you've had a good day. I've had a good one, been productive. Couldn't do the live yesterday as I was out for my sister's birthday. Shout out to my sister, it was her birthday. So we're doing it Tuesday this week. It's usually on Monday. If you don't know, put it in your diary. Today, I'm going to be talking about why your body's not changing when you've hit a plateau. Bear with me, Instagram's just paused. When you've hit a plateau and how to break through that plateau. A plateau is a roadblock. You've not seen any more changes and you want to get through them. I've been through many plateaus. In my own experience, clients go through it. It's very normal. I spoke a little bit about this in another podcast. Normalizing the challenges that come up in the process because they are inevitable. And when we take them personal, when we think it's permanent, and when we make it pervasive, it makes it worse than it is. But it's not the case. Plateaus, barriers, roadblocks are inevitable. So what usually happens when we hit a plateau, when we feel like we've stopped making progress? And 9 times out of 10, people do this way too quickly. They may have been losing weight for 6 weeks. Every week on the trot, they're weighing themselves once a week. And every week they've dropped a pound. And then the first week, on week 7, they've not seen any progress. They create a story in their head. Oh my God, this is a problem. But that's not necessarily the case. All of that is information that something has to change. So what happens when we feel stuck? 9 times out of 10, people feel very frustrated. You're like, okay, I've got a goal. I know I want something, but now I've got something that's stopping me or making it harder for me, or I can't work out right now what it's going to take to get there. So that builds up energy, frustration, and that's not a bad thing. Frustration and anger is way better than apathy and giving up. Frustration can help you push through barriers, push through boundaries if you use it effectively. We also take it personal when we feel stuck. We think it's about us, and then that creates a story that leads to apathy and self-pity and self-loathing. I've been that person for many years in my life. And I've had to work to understand and break out of those patterns because they never served me. And when I would get into those patterns, I'd just be like, you know what, forget it all. I'd walk to the shop, get some chocolate, get some sweets to eat away my feelings when I'd take it personal. What else happens when we feel stuck? We usually just think, you know what, forget this. This isn't for me. I was talking about this today on Instagram, on my story, that sometimes we don't set goals as a way to protect ourselves from feeling like we can't do it, feeling like we're not good enough, feeling like we're failing. They're not good feelings. So sometimes we throw away goals or don't set goals as a way to protect ourselves, because then if I didn't set a goal, if I didn't say that I wanted that, if I never have any hope or optimism about achieving something, then I can never be disappointed. It's basically disappointment management, expectation management. But another thing I mentioned a couple of podcasts ago was goals are what life is made of. And if you throw away goals, targets, things in the future that you want to work towards, that you want to have, that you want to achieve, we throw life out the window, because goal stands for go out and live. You're not living if you're not aspiring to do something, have something, be something. Goals don't always have to be the way that we've been conditioned to think they are in society. It doesn't have to be earn 10k more a month or lose this much more weight. But a goal could be, I want to be healthier today. And then on the back of that, you can get more specific. I want to go on a couple more holidays next year. I want to be a nicer person next week. I want to be a more patient person next week. Hello, Wayne, there's a wave. So goals are what life is made of. And when we throw goals out in attempt to avoid failure, beating ourselves up, not feeling good enough, when we throw that out, we actually lose out on the excitement of life. Because then we're just going through the motions. We have no intention, we have no purpose, we have no drive. I've been there too. I speak all this stuff from a place of integrity because I've been in these deep, dark places where I've been lost, I've been confused, I've been negative, and hence why I speak with so much passion. So, to get out of this stuck spell, we've got to overcome the feelings that come up, the stories that come up in those moments. What we don't want to do is more of what isn't working. That's a mindset flaw of the human condition, I believe. When something isn't working, I'm going to do more of it and then hopefully it will work. Was it Einstein that said, I can't remember the saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different solution. I got there. Almost forgot it then. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different solution. But we go towards that. I'm not losing weight. I'm stuck where I am. So what I'm going to do, I'm either going to keep doing what I'm doing or I'm going to keep doing more. I'm going to start doing more of what currently isn't working. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes more is better. Let's think of a partner that you've been dating or someone that's been messing you about and then they're not giving you the attention that you want. They're not being the partner that you want. So you think, you know what, I'm going to give them more love. I'm going to give them more attention. That will fix it. No. Push them further and further away. Or you're going through some grief or sad emotions and then you think, you know what, I'm going to suppress this even more. That will fix it. Push it down even further. Ignore that problem. Don't address it even further for longer. That will solve it. That's also a false mindset. I can't remember the name of the study. There's a study on this. It's a psychological theory that people believe if I've been doing this for all this time, even though it hasn't been working, that means I should continue to do it. It's some form of fallacy. I've been in this relationship for this long though, so I might as well. But it hasn't been working for this long. I'm not asking anyone to split up with their partners or anything like this. I'm just using it as an example, an analogy. So stop doing more of what doesn't work, because that's the definition of insanity. What we want to do instead, we want to work smarter instead of harder. I was watching something today about this. There's a few things in life where if you do more, you get a payback. So you work for 1 hour, you get a certain amount of outcome. Let's say you work in a factory or you're making cups of coffee. That's a very simple one. If I work for 2 hours, I'll make twice as much coffee. That makes sense. There's a few things that are in that category where if you do more, you will get better results. But other things don't work like that. In terms of effort, in terms of if I try this much, I get an outcome. But if I try even more, it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to get me the result that I want. If anything, it actually has a diminishing returns. That's what it's called, diminishing returns. If you drink 3 to 4 drinks, you start to feel tipsy, you start to feel good. But then we think, you know what, I'm going to drink even more because I'm going to feel even better. No, the returns start to diminish. The same goes with food, indulgence, even flattery. So many things in life have a diminishing returns. So we've got to learn from that and realize that we're not going to get more of what we want by doing more of what isn't working. Hello, Mal. There's a wave. So instead of working harder, we want to work smarter. Working smarter is looking at evidence of things that have been proven to work in terms of weight loss, in terms of breaking through plateaus. And there's one key word that is important with this is change, being willing to change. I was reading the book Sapiens a few weeks ago, and what fascinated me in the book, it talks about how humans are different to any other species and why we've been such a successful species, and the most successful species, obviously us at the top, at the apex. And when I say successful, I mean in terms of procreation, quality of life, all that kind of stuff. The thing that has determined how successful we've been is by how versatile we are. Whether it's a hot temperature, cold temperature, whether we live off meat, we live off grains, whether we live in tribes, we live on a farm, all this kind of stuff. It's our ability to be versatile, to embrace change. That's why we're the top of the apex. And the reason I say this is because to be the top in your industry or the top where you want to be with your goals, you've got to be versatile in that. You're going to have different tools. You're going to have to be open-minded. Okay, I'm not just going to do weights. I'm also going to do HIIT workout. I'm not just going to do HIIT workouts. I'm going to run as well. I'm not just going to stick to one thing to get to the result, because that leaves you very vulnerable. Hello, Toby. There's a wave. So what I took from the book was human beings have been successful through being very versatile to different scenarios, which has made us very strong and robust to challenges that come up. So this is the same for you on a personal level. For you to get great results within your health and fitness goals, or even if it's your business goals, even if it's your relationship goals, you're going to have a flexible mindset, which means you're open to change. You're open to changing the tools that you use to get to the result. And I notice this with clients. I train clients from lots of different walks of life, but even clients that, let's say they're high up in the corporate world and they have got to a certain point in their career through working hard, volume, lots of emails, lots of effort. But unfortunately, when they get to that position that they want to get to, or they get to a position they want to get to, and then they want to get to the next level, they think, I have to keep doing what I did to get to the next level. But that's not true. Like when you go higher up in management, you've actually got to get better at making decisions. You've got to get better at delegating. You've got to get better at trusting people and having relationships with people to motivate them, rather than doing something that is easy to duplicate. Something that's easy to duplicate is answering emails. That's a volume job. But more skill-based jobs, things like delegation, decision making, are very important. But some people have still got the old mindset of what got me to that management role versus actually doing the management role, which is about managing people, spinning plates, pass that thing to that person, I'll do this, X, Y, Z. So what we really want when we're stuck anyway, or let alone when we're losing weight, we're aiming to lose weight, we start the process, is we want more results, we want to be stronger, we want to be fitter, and we want to be leaner. We want to see more progress. That's when we feel confident, that's when we feel happy, that's when we feel proud of ourselves. We can sleep at night thinking, today was a step in the right direction. Because I'm a firm believer that if you're not moving forwards, you're moving backwards. I don't think there's any middle ground. That's just an opinion. Or actually, it's actually based on facts, because Isaac Newton said, I can't remember what he said, but basically everything in the universe is vibrating. It's moving. Nothing is still. And when we romanticize and hope that, you know what, I can just stay where I am, That's false because you're not staying where you are. Let's say if it's with money. If you keep your same amount of money in the bank and you don't save it, you do save it, you don't invest it, everything in the economy is inflating. So technically you're losing money. That's a perfect example for how everything else in your life. Let's say if you've built up a certain amount of skills in your career, and then you're like, okay, that's me done now. And then hopefully everything just stays the same. No, but your industry is changing. New information's coming in. New things that are relevant are coming in. Other people in your industry are building skills. So you might think that you're standing still, but your industry, your competition are moving forward. So technically, you're moving backwards. You just don't know it. So there's no such thing as staying still. The same goes with fitness results. Same goes with relationship results. It's either getting better or worse. Career results, and so on and so on. You've got to stay in the game. You've got to stay hungry. You've got to stay learning. You've got to stay in the process. But that's a different story for another day. I'm going to go back to what I said. We want more results. We want to get stronger. We want to get fitter. We want to see progress because it feels good. And I love the saying that goes, for things to change, things have to change. Because sometimes we can overcomplicate it. The reason I spent years and years and years, I'll quickly segue onto this story. I spent years reading books, learning podcasts, audiobooks, trying to understand how to be more successful, or what I would deem as successful. Having a job that I enjoy, being able to have a certain amount of money to be able to create a future, have a good body to feel confident, relationships wise, all those things I would lend towards success. But I was reading about it, and that was from a place of fear because I was scared to take action. And things didn't change for me at the time, at the tempo that I wanted. So for things to change, things have to change. You can't just think about it. Yes, manifesting is real. Law of attraction is real. What you think about does have a result in how you behave and your outcomes and your attitude, which therefore do impact your actions and your results. But if you only talk about it, think about it, philosophize about it, you will not get anywhere. I did that for a very long time. So for things to change, things have to change. I've changed my perspective on what is clever, what is smart. Smart is being able to say things in the most concise, direct, poignant way possible. And that saying does it for me. For things to change, things have to change. I see it like a Nintendo game, or any game for that matter. Whenever you're playing a game when you was younger, or if you're playing them now, you complete a certain level and you realise, I had to do this and that to get through that level. There's a wave. But then when you've done that level, you're stripped of all the tools you had, whether it was the spanner, whether it was the hammer, whether it was the next thing. The different level has new devils, has new challenges. You've got to start from scratch. So what helped you lose £10 won't technically help you get to the £20 mark. What got you started won't get you finished. And this is where we become a little bit closed-minded, a little bit scared, a little bit attached, a little bit, I think fearful is the best word. Is because we think, but this is what I've been doing. This is what's been working. And I'm attached to this tool or this way of being. Versus seeing it as, okay, this got me here. That's amazing. That's a string to my bow. Now, to get this next goal, this is another challenge for me. Another chance for me to change and improve by learning a new skill. An example, you started losing weight from running. You lost a certain amount of weight from running. Amazing. You've been eating better. You've been running. But now your body's not responding. But now you're not toning up the way you want. But you think, okay, what I'll do is I'll run more. And we've covered that already. That's not the solution. You need to introduce something different. And this isn't for me to try and convert you into doing cardio, into doing weight training, sorry. But that would be the first thing I'd encourage. But if it's not that, it could be HIIT cardio. If it's not that, it could be sprints. It could be yoga. It could be Pilates. It could be boxing. It could be a sport. Your body needs a new stimulus for it to change. For things to change, things have to change. I remember when I was about 25, I'm 30 now. I wanted to lose some weight. I was really fed up. It was around January, beginning of January. I was like, okay, I'm really not happy with how I've let myself go. And then obviously Christmas and New Year on top made me feel even more sluggish, even more tired, even more overweight. So I said, you know what, I'm going to try and aim for something that I've never had before. I don't even believe I can get it. I'd never been a slim person. Everyone went to school with me. Everyone went to college with me, university even for that matter. I've never been a slim guy. I've either been overweight, I would have classed myself as fat, and then I got to a point where I'd lift weights, and then maybe have a bit of muscle, but I still wasn't the most athletic. Maybe that's the word. I wasn't athletic. And I always thought, you know what, I'd love to have like a six-pack or something. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with having vanity goals as well, as long as you've got some purpose as well behind it. I don't think it's a good enough goal on its own to motivate you for long enough. But I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to look better. I'd never had a six-pack. I never believed I could have a six-pack. But I managed to achieve it around 6 months later. A lot of hard work, a lot of challenges, a lot of ups and downs. And the reason I tell this story is, in hindsight, back to that conversation I had in that January of, I don't know if I could have a six-pack. But the reason I'd never had a six-pack was because I never tried. And the reason I never tried was because I never believed. And that was a mic drop moment for me. Sounds simple, but it's an evidence that if you don't believe it, you can't achieve it. Because not only will you not even try, but it will affect the way you go about it. It will affect how aggressively, how certainly you will approach your goals. Because if you don't believe you can do it, you will fall at the first lesson. I say lesson over loss, because all of the things that happen in the process are necessary. So in hindsight of that, never having a six-pack before and then achieving it, and just like saying, you know what, I genuinely don't believe I can have it, but I'm going to really push myself to get to this goal. And then thinking back in hindsight to the conversations like, oh, I don't think I'm the type of person to have a six-pack. What does that mean? Just because I hadn't had a six-pack before doesn't mean I can't have a six-pack. And I'd created a story that was just plucked out of thin air, which justified where I was. It justified that I was eating in an unhealthy way and not exercising the way I wanted. But the truth of the matter is, there's a really good saying that I've been thinking to myself quite often recently, actually, which says it in a very succinct way. We don't believe what we see what we believe. We don't believe what we see what we believe. Because believing what you see means, oh, okay, I've got no assumptions, I've got no thought patterns, I've got no beliefs that I'm assuming onto each and every situation, whereas I believe it's the opposite. We see what we believe. We have a filter system in our minds which gets rid of evidence of things that don't conform, don't agree with the beliefs that we currently have or that we want to have. This is called a RAS system. reticular activation system, I believe. I might be butchering it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's basically a system in your mind which filters out information that doesn't confirm what you want, what you believe, so that we can stay in alignment, in connection with what we currently believe. If you was to get a car tomorrow, let's say it's a Fiesta, suddenly you'd start to notice everyone else with a Fiesta, particularly with that colour. That is the RES system. You're aware of it, so now you're hyper aware of it and you see it everywhere. The car was there before. It's just that now you're even more aware of it. That's an example of it. So we don't believe what we see what we believe. And that's why it's important to challenge your beliefs. It's very important to challenge your beliefs. I'm going to give you the FIT principle right now, which is a great way to question yourself on what needs to change for you to get the results that you want. The first component of the FIT principle is frequency. Hello, Katie. The second component is intensity. Third is time. Fourth is type, which spells fit. If we want to get through a plateau for a roadblock, we need to change one of these things, preferably more than one. You got to ask yourself, frequency, how often am I working out? If I'm training 3 times a week and then I've hit a roadblock, I've lost weight for a certain amount of time and now I want to lose more weight, but the 3 workouts aren't cutting it, you need to increase the frequency of how often you work out, which will help you break through that plateau. Intensity, it's the second element of the FIT principle. Intensity is how tough, how challenging. Does that mean you need to up the weight? Does that mean you need to run faster? Does that mean you need to run further? But you need to increase the intensity of your workouts. So we've got frequency, intensity. The third one is time. Increasing the amount of time. This is volume when it comes to fitness. That's the third element that is going to help you break through a roadblock, a plateau, whatever you want to call it. Endurance. How much more can you endure? And then the fourth principle of the FIT principle is type. This is really thinking outside the box. What type of stimulus are you using to lose weight? Okay, I've currently been running. Okay, I'm going to throw in some yoga. Okay, I've currently been lifting weights, but I'm going to start a bit of interval training or circuit training to get to that next level. So we've got the frequency, the intensity, the time, and the type. These are the 4 things that you can use to break through a plateau, because like I said a few minutes before, for things to change, things have to change. You can't get to where you want to get to while staying where you are, staying as the same person with the same behaviors, the same habits, the same attitude, the same mindset. Something has got to give. You can't get in a relationship while staying single at the same time. There's pros and cons to both, but you can't have both. You can't get to the next level and get fitter and get stronger without changing something in your diet, without changing your exercise, changing how intense you go. And the only thing that stops us from doing this, because this is quite obvious, isn't it? It's quite obvious to say, well, something's got to change if I want something different. But the thing that stops us is the unknown. Things that we don't know. And me included, humans, we don't like the unknown. We like certainty. We like definite. We like guaranteed. We like confidence about the future, about results, about what people think of us. This is very normal. Don't beat yourself up for it. But this is the very thing that can hold us back from implementing the obvious information. Something's got to change. Okay, I know something's got to change, but am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? How often am I going to do it? So this brings me to your comfort zone. Everyone has a comfort zone. Oh, I'm used to that. I know that. I'm familiar with that. And familiar is the key word when it comes to comfort zone. Because it's not necessarily comfortable, your comfort zone. It's just familiar. You just know it. It feels comfortable. It feels normal. But unfortunately, your comfort zone is where your current results are. Your current career results, relationship results, mental health results, fitness results. What you have right now is a result of your comfort zone. And if you're fine with that, that's amazing, amazing, amazing. I'm not here to convert anyone. But if you want more, I'm here to tell you the tough truth. The tough truth is, for things to change, things have to change. And you're going to have to get out of that comfort zone. The results you have are in the comfort zone. Outside of your comfort zone are the results that you want. Is the confidence that you want. Is the conviction, the results, the progress that you want. They're outside of your comfort zone. So which are you going to choose? And here's a little bit of motivation to think about it in terms of making your decision for that. Is your comfort zone isn't comfortable. My comfort zone is full of doubt, comparison, boredom, self-doubt. You feel stuck. When you're staying where you are, and like I said earlier, everything in the world, everything in the universe is moving, evolving, changing, you are getting left behind. We all have someone in the family that won't use the internet, won't use phones. Oh no, I don't do WhatsApp. I don't do that. You're the only one losing out from this. When people say this, it's like, you're the only one losing out. You got to keep up with the times. Because everyone else has got smartphones now, for example. And now you're the one that's losing out on the WhatsApp group. You're the one that can't keep up with the new information as quick as your competitors because you're still waiting for the paper to be delivered through the post, like the old school days versus, you know what, I'm going to get a laptop or I'll get an iPad and I'll read it on there. I think you get the analogy. So your comfort zone isn't comfortable. All it is familiar. You know it. And that also means that your discomfort zone, outside your comfort zone, isn't actually uncomfortable. It's just new. It's unfamiliar. And for you to get more of what you want in life and to keep progressing with the times, you got to get uncomfortable. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because we all want more in life. And when we don't fulfill that need, I believe we fall into a certain level of depression, doubt, fear, and it's not good for our mental health. And I'm going to do a podcast in a couple of weeks about mental health and where I stand with it, what I think can help people with it, and how I've tackled it. I'm not a professional, I'm not a psychiatrist, but if anyone's willing to listen and get some advice from me on how I've improved, I'm not perfect, improved my mental health, feel free to give it a listen. And I do think staying in your comfort zone, staying still, does lend itself to depression because you don't have goals, you don't have a motive to do stuff, get up and go and push forward. I believe that depression is the opposite of expression. Expression is a release, it's pushing, exercise, challenge, setting new achievements, trying new stuff. Depression is the consequence of a certain level of disappointment in yourself. You've been holding yourself back. You haven't given yourself permission, or you're not giving yourself permission to try to do more, to be more. And that can be down to a plethora of reasons. Maybe it's low self-esteem, negative self-talk, fear of the unknown, and so on. And unfortunately, it's a vicious circle. So it's not easy, but I'm here to give my perspective on it. So we all want progress, and goals are so that you can go out and live. Goals aren't necessarily for getting. Getting a goal is amazing. It feels good. It's like a little cherry on top, icing on the cake. But goals are actually to give you purpose within your life. When you had that goal for a year, you were focused, you were in the game, you had some purpose, you had some get up and go. And in hindsight, you're like, you know what? That was a really good time, I felt just in flow. Goals aren't necessarily for getting, they're for growing. They're to make you someone more than you currently are. So ultimately, we want to get comfortable being uncomfortable. How do we get comfortable being uncomfortable? How do we change our relationship with the unknown, discomfort, uncertainty? A big element of that, in my opinion, is having a balance of self-discipline and self-compassion. I think a lot of people fall into one of two camps. Not everyone has got a good balance in between. I spoke about this on one of the episodes about masculine self-love, feminine self-love, which kind of epitomizes this balance. Self-discipline is doing things for you in the future. You're going to forego temporary gratification, release, enjoyment, because you know something in the future is even better. That is what self-discipline is. Self-compassion is understanding, accepting yourself where you are, regardless of what things could be, should be, and what you want. But you know what? I'm going to fall over at times. I'm going to make mistakes at times. And you need self-compassion because you're human. But you also need self-discipline so that you can channel yourself, direct yourself towards what you want. Too much self-compassion on its own is giving yourself, or is relinquishing you from any accountability or responsibility of doing more and being more and having more. Too much discipline on its own is a form of, is it sadism or masochism? I can't remember. But it's basically just punishing yourself, grinding yourself down as a form of self-hate. So it's about balance. Self-discipline 50%, self-compassion 50%. And then we'll have a way better relationship with the unknown, uncertainty, ambiguity, setbacks, knockbacks, lessons, mistakes, you name it. I say this all from a place of first-hand experience. I was always in the camp. Hello, Claire, there's a wave. I was always in the camp of not having enough self-discipline. I didn't do what I said I would. I couldn't forego, dismiss temporary, short-term gratification for delayed gratification, bigger things, better things, whether that's career, relationships, and positive habits. So I've really had to learn the benefits of both and balance it out. But also, a problem for me was because I didn't have a lot of self-compassion. Anytime I'd get out of my comfort zone, anytime I'd try something new, I'd be very harsh to myself. I didn't give myself any space, any wiggle room for improvement to learn. So both are very important, and I can spot it from a mile off in people now because, well, it takes one to know one. It takes someone that is their own biggest critic to know someone else who is their own biggest critic. So I encourage you to implement, entertain, think about, how can I be more self-compassionate on a daily basis? How can I practice and build discipline on a daily basis? Start small. because that way you can build consistency and you'll start to see the benefits of it. And then as you build that confidence, you will start to compound and add more and more and more. Yeah, I think that's enough for today. I've really enjoyed today's podcast. The topic was, my body won't change, what do I do? We've spoke through the FIT principle, frequency, intensity, time and type, and the common emotions that hold us back through taking action on what's necessary to get through that, and the illusion of the comfort zone, because there's no such thing as staying still. Everything in the world is evolving and changing, and if you stay where you are, technically you are falling behind, because it's relative. How good you're doing financially is relative to the economy. How well you're doing mentally is relative to all the changes going on in your world, and so on. Thank you for listening today. Today marks the first day of November. I am taking on 5 clients this month. I've posted about this on social media. I'm not going to be able to re-articulate what I'm looking for, but feel free to drop me a message if you're looking to get in great shape before the new year, so that you don't feel in as much of a rush for it. And you can also cancel out Christmas. You can actually get to Christmas feeling in a good place, enjoy Christmas, enjoy the big Christmas dinner, and it's water off a duck's back, putting on a pound or 2 over Christmas because you're already in a good place, versus, oh, I'm not going to do anything about it now. I'm going to wait till after Christmas. I'm already not comfortable right now, and then I'm going to wait for longer to start the good habits, and then I'm going to have Christmas on top. So then I'm going to be even more hard on myself the beginning of January, because I've got even more weight to lose and I'm even more disgusted at myself. That's not the mindset that is conducive to your future with health and fitness. Hello team, thank you for watching. Brenton here. Please do give this video a like. Do subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of my content. Do feel free to drop a comment below so I know what's resonating with you and what's not, and I can make future content according to what resonates. If you want to work with me personally, please visit my website, wherever that is, www.hamiltonfit.co.uk. Personal training, online personal training, online coaching, you need it, I've got it.